All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Mets Weekly Podcast as we are live at this very moment on YouTube and on X to recap the Mets versus Cubs series, as well as all the latest news and rumors in New York Mets land. But before we do that, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel for new episodes of our show following every single series of games during the regular season. For those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation in the future, make sure to turn on those post notifications to know when we go live. For those of you in the live chat right now, we love reading your comments, your questions, your concerns, all that great stuff regarding the team at the current moment. And if you feel like you're being ignored, you're not being ignored. You're just being starred throughout the show. We'll try to pull up as many as we can to keep the flow of the conversation going. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok for my co-host right here, Frank's instant reactions after every single regular season game, titled the Mets Frankly Postgame. For our audio listeners, make sure to follow us on all your favorite listening platforms to not miss the audio version of new episodes that go up at 9 a.m. the following day. Also, make sure to give us a 5-star review. That would be greatly appreciated. So without further ado, let's get into episode number 134 of our show. And we are coming off of a series against a high-powered offense in the Chicago Cubs, which the Mets were able to keep in check for the most part. Still seeing the constant worries and constant issues that they've had so far offensively, still on display. But they do get the series victory, able to pull it out on Mother's Day, as whether it was fluent or not, still some things to discuss of the events that we saw, some great performances, some ugly performances. But Frank, you're here as per usual. I don't even know why I'm saying that as a surprise. But another series has come and gone. And we continue on to Pittsburgh tonight.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the grind doesn't stop when it comes to baseball. I mean, just because you win a series, guess what? You got another one tomorrow. So it's kind of just like, with the 162, you got to keep going. But this was a good one for the Mets. I mean, this was a very good test going up against the Chicago Cubs because, like, we knew about the offense that they have shown so far this season and what they're capable of. And to see the Mets still win this series and putting up good run totals in all three games. I mean, game 2 was frustrating. It was a game they certainly could have won, and that's been the case that we talked about. Pretty much most of their losses have been by 1 run to 2 runs. So, they could have swept this series, but overall, getting the win is the most important thing, and they were in every single game, and they weren't overmatched or overwhelmed by this Cubs offense. And a ton of credit goes to the pitching, which continues to, for the most part, be very solid. So it's a good recipe. I mean, if you see the Mets offense start to score more runs consistently with the kind of pitching they've been getting, they're going to continue to be a very good team. And, between facing the Diamondbacks and facing the Cubs, I mean, they're starting to not knock out, but they've shown what they could do against some of the better teams in the league. I mean, they still have a couple more teams in the West they haven't faced yet. But other than that, I mean, they've been able to hold their own against a lot of the National League and show that they belong. So all that is encouraging. And we, again, like we said, we still know they're capable of more. I mean, Juan Soto, we had started to see some good signs. Didn't really show it the last couple games. So they're still doing very well despite that still not being where he's supposed to be. I saw something say about like WAR and F-WAR and all that stuff. And it's like Alonso and Lindor are near the top. Soto's not, and he's supposed to be. So they've been able to play this well even without the guy they paid the most to giving him what he's capable of. So as we know, like we've talked about a ton of times, they've had injuries in the rotation. A couple guys haven't pitched yet for them. So I think to still have this record, still be where they are in the league, compete with these better teams, despite some of the other stuff that's going on, I think all those are positive things.
Yeah, I definitely have found myself in a situation where I'm kind of watching these games every single day, obviously. And I do feel like there through the course of the game, it's not peaks and valleys. I'd say that it grows on towards the end. Like it just obviously them scoring in bunches the way that they do. I'd like to see how this pitching continues to progress as well. But it's just been a very odd thing. It always seems like one inning is their inning, And it's whether it is, offensively or, pitching wise or defense wise, it seems like the sequencing is either it's going to fall from, fall in a positive way, or it's going to fall in a negative way. And that's kind of just, how I feel like they play this thing inning to inning, which is not fun to watch as like an overall experience, but getting the job done, still holding things off while you're also waiting for some parts of the pitching staff to come back. You hopefully see some young guys come up here and make an impact in the future. We know that there's one in Syracuse that is getting very, very close to making his debut.
There's and 3 arms on the way to be excited.
I'm talking about the bat, because we already know what they're capable of with arms.
But the bat, arms, they're waiting. They got some
their arms are waiting. There's one who just started off a 7-inning perfect game last year for yesterday or a few days ago for AA Binghamton. So they're definitely in that pitching department. There's a lot to be excited about. But there are some of these young guys as well in Syracuse, such as or as in Binghamton or Brooklyn, who position players, and these young position players that I do want to see a little bit more of a higher impact as compared to some of the marginal players that we have seen coming up here after what we saw in this series or what we have seen so far. We know that Luis Angel Acuna, Brett Beatty, Mark Vientos, it looks like he's starting to get going. So, I mean, we're really starting to see some production from the lower half of this lineup. It just kind of has to come in a more timely manner, as we've talked about it with runners in scoring position and things like that. It's just consistency that needs to pick up, or eventually it's going to catch up to you, because our pitching staff has been fantastic, but like we have said, there's going to be blowups. There is going to be performances when that just doesn't happen, and the offense is going to have to come through. So again, even though they are scratching out these wins and they're playing inning to inning and constantly, having these performances where sometimes it doesn't look good, but then eventually it looks good by the end result. You'd hope that you can just trust this team to get the job done. But there are some things that could find a way to catch up to you in some way. And it really is, things that do need to be pointed out, because again, they play 162 games. You can't just, fake it till you make it, for the rest of the year. There are things that they are going to have to address eventually. We'll see how some guys fit into the formula. We're already having the conversations about Brett Beatty being the future franchise player after 3 games. We're talking about Mark. We were talking about Mark Vientos having to go down to the minor leagues 3 games ago, and now he has a great series, and then all of a sudden he should be the DH. So there are a lot of moving parts that we know they are eventually going to be discussed. A lot of decisions do have to be made with some guys that are playing well when some guys maybe come back, such as, whether it's those marginal guys like Jose Siri, or maybe there's somebody such as Drew Gilbert, like I mentioned. But I think, there are going to find a way to put these guys into the mold. I don't know how it's going to play out. But that's what the games forward are for. I think, there's plenty more to come. Like we've said, we know that they can be better than this. And that's a good encouraging thing, but eventually we're going to have to start seeing it to its full capacity, or we're going to turn into, one of those teams, if team or if man or, if player, of where we know how they're capable of this, but for some reason they're just not showing it. And there's some rhythms that I think that they get into that are a little concerning. We saw it in Game 2 of this series, but I think that there is some stuff that needs to be ironed out first before they officially go into that home stretch of the season. And we will talk about some of those potential moves later that could be in the works later on down, even though it is in the middle of May. But, lots of moving parts. We know that they have shown flexibility to make changes when they need to. So we'll see how they do that going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a Brett Beatty stat because he's our guy over here. So, I mean, we talked about all season long, all off season, the DH position, our concerns, particularly in the power department. So, the two guys are supposed to be the platoon DHs, Winker and Marte. In a combined 156 plate appearances, they've hit 3 home runs. Brett Beatty, in 70 plate appearances, has hit 4 home runs. So, for Brett Beatty
No
to have
way.
more home runs than both of the other DHs combined, this says a lot. So
While getting
I mean,
while getting a decent amount of time in AAA too, and playing
yeah,
part time.
exactly. So I mean, he did. I mean, here's the thing: Brett Beatty hit more home runs in a game than Winker had hit before he got hurt to the point of the season. You know that says something. You know, I mean, we like Winker overall as a player, but we talk about I'm not saying Brett Beatty should be the DH, but just in general, like. You move Vientos to like we said, move Vientos to DH, and you have Beatty out there. I mean, if he's going to be hitting for power, you got to get it from somewhere. So if it's Beatty, then it's Beatty.
I mean, listen, he's hit for power in the last 2 games that he's played, and that means that it will continue forever. And I do think, when it comes to Mark Vientos and the DH discussion, we've talked about it before of how I wasn't really a big fan of it. I think that as of right now, to the level of not just to put Brett Beatty in the lineup because I'm not big on Brett Beatty, we know I'm not, but it's more of just the fact that, as of what you're getting from the DH position, one of them is hurt. The other one has been nearly non-existent, and just a terrible representation of the DH. If they have to go to that just to put his bat in the lineup, that's fine. Hopefully we just see more of the individual performance die down into the situational hitting, which I think that is the main reason as to why there's so much of a question in this. I mean, there is a lot that's going on with this lineup of if you're going to go offense first, which again, statistically on paper, this offense looks good. They've all had a majority of these guys have had good stretches in their career. They've established things in their career. But then it's more of just what comes down to the situation. Because still, this team has been a well below average team with runners in scoring position. So it's like we know what they're capable of individually, but gelling this thing together as a team, being an efficient offense, having that efficient approach, which, we continue to talk about, it's still going to be something that is yet to be seen because we just have not seen that with this offense. And I think that that's the very frustrating part of it. Is that we know that they are capable of a lot more. And, I think that the impression of, this offense, it gets kind of misconstrued from the outside. I mean, I constantly hear that, this is an all or nothing offense. That's the main reason why they're so bad at runners in scoring position. If they are an all or nothing offense, they should be better at it then. They should be better at this all or nothing. And they should be hitting a lot more home runs. And we haven't really seen that much of it. We haven't seen that many extra base hits. We've talked about this station to station type of thing with the lack of speed. I mean, this is the type of offense that I feel like maybe it does look all or nothing at its very best, but it's going to have to show that all or nothingness already in order for me to be confident in it. I mean, I should not have to look at this lineup that I know is capable of things and saying, is this offense going to show up today? I shouldn't have to ask that question. I just shouldn't. And whether you want to come from salaries or pedigree or anything, they should be capable of doing a lot more. And I know saying something like this with 11 games over 500, we say this all the time. They're in first place. They've had a great start to the season. There's no doubt about that. But again, there's still opportunities on the table.
Could be true. Like you could literally just go to runners in scoring position, batting average alone, and see that the Mets are bottom 5, especially in the National League. Like they're towards the bottom half. So they right now are a very good record, first place, but also still have bad numbers with runners in scoring position. I mean, both things are true. And in game 2, the one they lost, they went 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. And they lost by 1 run. That's pretty crazy to go 1 for 10 with the runners in scoring position and still lose by 1 run.
With our suspect pitching staff keeping us in the game. Am I right?
Suspect pitching staff with the Cubs scoring 6 runs. All those things together, you still lose by 1. That's pretty crazy. So, I mean, that's where they're at. And to your point, as far as individual performances, almost everybody in the lineup right now has an OPS plus above 100. I mean, Luis Angel Acuna is right on the outside, and then Tyrone Taylor is Tyrone Taylor, but everyone else is above 100. So individually, they're putting together solid seasons with some guys, putting it together. But, those numbers as far as like guys with OPS over 700 or over 800, once you go to running scoring position, those numbers are not above league average. They're below. So it's like you said, like individually, they're good players, but in certain moments, all of a sudden they are not good players. So that's the other thing that they're still trying to figure out somehow.
Yeah, Ibby, he really doesn't have any respect for the Roan rules at all.
Listen, hey, you want to tell me I don't have respect for Tyrone Taylor? Who's in center field tonight? Jeffrey McNeil. So maybe it's the manager that doesn't have much
it's a great
respect
platoon.
for Tyrone Taylor.
I mean, here's just one simple stat. Is again, everyone will point out the record. I mean, we can point out more records if we want to do this in win-loss way. They're 8-8 in one-run games. So again, a little bit half of that, they're a 30-win team. Again, it's like that we still could see more. That's what, and we don't say this to be negative. We're not saying this to just completely bash this entire lineup of how they have been doing and still finding a way to win games because the pitching has been so good. We say that because we know they're capable a lot more. And I feel like that does get misconstrued in a way, especially from me, because I'm a lot vocal about it on Twitter. I know that Frank likes to hide himself on social media. But for me, it's more of the fact that I know that they are capable of this. It has nothing to do with me saying, well, these guys suck. I want everyone gone and I want everyone to perform bad, so I'm right. No, I know that these guys are capable of doing more. I do. And that's the thing that I really want to see find a way to find a median there, because again, 8-8 in one-run games, it still leaves a little bit more left on the table when you think about it. You think that this team can definitely be a little bit more and produce a little bit more. And Jay-Z saying 8-8 in one-run games is a good sign, means that there's more room to improve. And that's true. That 100% is true. And that's a fantastic rebuttal to look at it in the up way. But to look at it as the glass half full instead of, glass half empty instead of half full, when is that going to happen is my question. When is that going to happen where they push to that next level? Because right now we're still seeing the same signs of them offensively falling asleep at the wheel constantly. And they still find a way to get, carried up by, the top of the lineup, which they are obviously paid to do that. But we do need a collaborative effort from a deeper part, the deeper part of the lineup. And hopefully that brings in some more consistency. Because again, in game 2, all your runs came from Brett Beatty. Is that going to happen every single time? No, it won't. We all know it won't. Good for Brett Beatty. Good game that he had. Good to see him give us those encouraging signs. But again, is going to continue? Is that consistency going to continue? And that's, I think, the one thing that we kind of question from the bottom part of this lineup, where sometimes they're here, sometimes they're not, sometimes they disappear in and out, and sometimes they have these great performances and, it gets everybody excited, but 162 games, like I've said, they need to be played. So again, you still need, from top to bottom, guys to contribute. And when they do contribute, you need a little bit more of an efficient way for this offense, because again, if that does not happen, you're going to be losing even more one-run games. And that's what is going to be the thought of, well, they put it on the table. And to be honest, all 15 of these losses that they have had, I don't know. All 15 of these losses that they have had, I'd say about 10 of them were all winnable. Like the pitching's kept you in tight for quite a while.
8 one-run losses.
Yes, 8 one-run losses. Yes. So how many 2-run losses where they had two guys on and they stranded them?
Exactly. More. It's much more than 2 guys. Like it's
game of inches right here. Game of inches. Game of inches.
I mean that's how it's been, but.
Yeah.
And I mean, we'll say they're trying to make some adjustments personnel wise, but it's still an approach thing. I mean, because you could see players again, individually performing well. They do one thing when the bases are empty, but they do a totally different thing when there are men on base. And I think somebody who I'm kind of seeing an example of that a little bit is with Nimmo. I mean, I think in this series for Nimmo, I'm starting to see a little more old Brandon Nimmo with some of the swings he was taking, as far as
Thank God.
Little half swing, little check swing, dunking it into left field, getting some base hits with nobody on, with 2 outs. So I feel like for Nimmo, you're not going to see half swings and check swings with men on base. He's out there looking to pull. So, that's something that, maybe with men on, he could every now and then kind of dip into that to get those runs home. But I feel like that's kind of one of the examples that I've seen as far as like these guys literally changing their approach depending on the situation.
Yeah, it would be nice to see some of those adjustments stay efficiently, obviously. I think there is a way for them to just, pan things out and have some kind of a plan for these types of situations. Because I know that these guys are smarter hitters than this. I feel like there are just a lot of instances where I'm seeing with this offense, and I'm just like, okay, what the hell are you doing? What are you thinking here? Like, why is this the thought process as compared to something else? Guys, Frank has been having some issues with his camera these last few days. I don't know what has been the deal there. I've had those issues with my camera too. It's just kind of how it kind of is. But let's see. Carlos saying, I'm dying for someone to show me the win-loss record with McNeil in the lineup versus without. I don't think they've ever won a game with him in the lineup since he came into the league.
Yeah,
pretty sure.
And Matt just saved his life, so thank you, Ibby, for rescuing him.
No, that can't be true. Anyways, we're not allowing that to be true. Rosie saying, I don't like Nimmo. I don't think that Nimmo should bat fourth. I mean, we've talked about this before. It's probably the middle part of the lineup that he's better at, or the top part of the lineup if you want to make those adjustments with Soto not being himself. But
yeah, so as far as the Mets when it comes to running scoring position, the only teams in the National League that are worse than them are the Pittsburgh Pirates, who we'll be seeing tonight, who absolutely stink, and the Colorado Rockies, who are on pace to be the worst team of all time. So those are the two teams in the National League that are worse for runners in scoring position than the Mets.
Well,
and they have the Pirates beat by 2 points.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, some of you guys in the chat before we get into recapping this entire thing, Explosive is in here, finally catching a stream, he says. Obviously, Ibby in here, Carlos. Let's see who else is in here in the chat. Jay-Z, he popped something up earlier. Dwayne Banks as well in the chat. Guys, if you're new, hit that subscribe button. If you have not already, hit the like on the stream. If you're here on YouTube, if you're watching on Twitter, hop over to YouTube. It would be just a better way to communicate with us. Sometimes your comments just don't come through. But either way, let's get into the rundown of this entire series of what went on with the Mets versus Cubs, a high-powered profile Cubs offense, which the Mets were able to take 2 out of 3 from. So let's start, of course, with Game 1. Clay Holmes would start the series opener, and aside from surrendering his first home run of the season all year to Kyle Tucker, he'd turn in 6 solid innings, 3 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts on 93 pitches. The Mets offense would jump all over Jameson Taillon across the first 4 innings. Francisco Lindor would lead off the first with a solo home run, his 8th of the year, to give the Mets a 1-0 lead. In the second, Brett Beatty would slug a solo shot, and Jeff McNeil would follow it up with a solo shot of his own to make it 3-0 Mets. And with the bases loaded in the third, 1 out, Luis Angel Acuna would drive 2 more in with a ground ball up the middle of the diamond. And after getting the force at second, Dansby Swanson would airmail the throw to first, scoring Nimmo and Alvarez to give the Mets a 5-0 lead. Juan Soto would demolish his 8th home run of the season to the Shea Bridge to make it 6-1 in the 4th. Ryan Stanek would come in relief for Holmes in the 7th and retire the side on 11 pitches with a strikeout. Danel Nunez would get the 8th and only get 2 outs via strikeout, but walk 2, still struggling there. And Reed Garrett would get the final out of the inning. The Mets would add to their lead in the bottom of the inning due to Francisco Lindor beating out a 2-out infield single and stealing second. Juan Soto would cash him in on an RBI single to make it 7-1 New York. Jose Budo would come in for the 9th, and after surrendering a leadoff home run to Michael Busch, he'd strike out 3 batters to end the game and take Game 1 of the series 7-2. Game 2, Tyler McGill would make his 8th start of the year, and he'd struggle through 4 2/3 innings pitched, allowing 4 earned runs on 7 hits, walking 2 and striking out 7 on 77 pitches. The Mets would find themselves down 4-0 in the fourth, and following a leadoff single by Pete Alonso and a one-out single by Mark Vientos, Brett Beatty would crush a 3-run homer to right field to make it a 1-run game. Huskar Brazaban would finish off the fifth for McGill. He would toss a 1-2-3 sixth and get the leadoff man in the seventh before handing it off to Genesis Cabrera, who would finish the inning on 6 pitches. Max Krenick would get the eighth and struggle to find the strike zone, walking two to load the bases and surrendering a 2-run single to Miguel Amaya to give Chicago a 6-3 lead. In the eighth, after a 1-out single by Mark Vientos, Brett Beatty would strike once again, launching a 2-run homer, his second of the game, his third of the series, to get the Mets within 1 run once again, but they could not finish it off in the ninth. After a leadoff walk to pinch hitter Jeff McNeil, Francisco Lindor would ground into a double play, and Juan Soto would ground out to end the game. And after going 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position, the Mets would drop Game 2 to the Cubs 6-5. And in Game 3, Griffin Canning would make the start on Mother's Day, which also happened to be his 29th birthday. And he tossed 6 strong innings of 1-run ball after surrendering a solo shot to Pete Crow Armstrong in the 6th, finishing the inning off and ending his day with 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts on 92 pitches. The Mets would open the scoring against Matthew Boyd after a 2-out hit by pitch to Starling Marte. Luis Torrens would drive him in with an RBI single to give the Mets a 1-0 lead in the second. Tied 1-1 in the 6th. Mark Vientos would make it 2-1 Mets with a solo home run, his 5th of the year. But in the 7th, Reed Garrett would come in relief of Canning, and after walking the leadoff man, Nico Horner would tie the game at 2 with an RBI single. Only the second earned run charged to Garrett all season. Ryan Stanek would get the 8th and retire the side on 11 pitches with 2 strikeouts. Francisco Lindor would put the Mets in front with a solo shot to right center. Pete Alonso would follow later with a 1-out double. Mark Vientos would drive him in with an RBI single to make it 4-2 Mets. Brandon Nimmo would pile it on with his 8th home run of the season, a 2-run shot to give the Mets a 6-2 lead in the 8th. Mets closer Edwin Diaz would get the 9th and would retire the side on 3 ground balls and 10 pitches to secure the series victory over the Cubs 6-2 on Mother's Day. The Mets are now 26-15 on the season. They are now 15-4 at Citi Field, holding a 1.5 game lead on the Phillies for first place in the National League East. So definitely quite some takeaways. Like we have seen, the Mets take 2 out of 3. Seems like 3 different games that we are seeing, whether it's offensively starved. You see the pitching work in and out of jams, obviously. We've seen the Mets fall short, of course, with runners in scoring position. We had pretty much all of it in this series, but they were able to get 2 out of 3 from the Cubs. Frank, I'll give you your takeaways, putting it all together from your post-game analysis, obviously. A little bit of everything on display, like I said, but one of the big numbers here, a Chicago Cubs team that hits a lot of home runs, scores a lot in big bunches. The Mets got the upper hand there, outslugged them, hit 10 home runs in this series to win it.
Yeah, I mean, I was very encouraged by seeing a lot of these guys hit the long ball. And, I mean, we're looking at the totals now. All of a sudden, you have these guys that are prolific 30 home run hitters, some guys 40 home run hitters when it comes to Alonso and Juan Soto. And Lindor, we know, been a 30 home run bat. But all of a sudden, Brandon Nimmo, it's just been a weird season for him, but he's hanging in there with those guys. So it's like now you have Nimmo to join them. So it's like you have Alonso at 9 home runs, you got Lindor at 9 home runs, but then Soto and Nimmo both have 8, and then you have Vientos at 5. So it's like all of a sudden you have like another potential home run bat, because it seems like Nimmo is really embracing, like, listen, I'm here to pull baseballs, and they show it. He's one of the top guys in hard hit balls. Unfortunately, too many of them have been hit on the ground. So I think he might be trying to unlock just like this element that's kind of been in and out the past few seasons for him. But it feels like more now that he is embracing, like, I want to be a home run hitter. And he technically has the power to do it because it's like he's there with these guys. So I'm just kind of curious to see how that ends up when the season's over. Like, what are the totals for Nimmo in particular? Does he actually reach the 30 home run threshold for the first time in his career? I mean, that's something that would be pretty interesting to me. And then if Vientos could get a little more consistency, we know he's also capable of 30. So
Yes.
I'm just kind of curious to see like where these guys finish when it comes to that, because this is the first time you really saw them hit a lot of home runs in a series, and it's something that I've been waiting for because, like I said, I know these guys are capable of 30 home runs, 40 home runs because they've done it in the past, and with sample sizes would have had it in some other cases. So I've just kind of been waiting for like when are we actually going to see more home runs, and could it be when the weather warms up? Maybe. But just overall, like this was a really nice sign to see, and like you said, because you knew the Cubs were going to be slugging. Kyle Tucker, PCA, everyone else didn't really show up too much. I mean, Dansby Swanson, of course, had a home run against the Mets because it's Dansby Swanson. But other than that, I like you said, the Mets had the offense that looked better, and that's not something that we necessarily predicted going into it. And we know for sure that they have the better pitching. So it was just a very nice test to see. I don't know if the Mets might face the Cubs in October, maybe, but I felt like with the nationally televised game in there. Even the Roku to some extent. It felt like a little bit like a playoff series. So I thought it was nice to see these guys really come through and, get the win. So that was the most important thing to me. And like we said, just get a hit with men on base and you win the game, or it's like, McGill is the other one that we got to watch. I mean, we talked about it last episode, but decisions are going to be made once everybody gets here. And now for McGill, last few starts not as great as the beginning of the season. So by the time Manaea and Montas are ready to come back, we'll see where McGill is at. Is he closer to April McGill or closer to May? If he's closer to May, he could be the odd man out. And that was obviously the game the Mets lost in this series. So that's the other thing on like the concerning side that you're trying to see, like where do we go from here and that. And then with Max Kranick, I don't want to call them blow-ups, but outings where he's giving up runs are a little more frequent as the season is going along. So I think maybe the usage and utilization of him might need to tinker a little bit as well to try to find that right formula. But I really did like seeing Edwin Diaz pitch back-to-back days. He was awesome in both outings. It's something that earlier in the season they weren't really doing, especially when the hip thing came up and we're in Washington and we're like, where is Diaz? Where is Diaz? Then he had a week off. So, we're trying to figure out like what's going on there. He looked really good. Stanek is kind of forming into shape here. So I feel like if you have the 8th inning, 9th inning combination working really nice, it could go a long way, especially if your starting rotation is doing good. Like we talked about, these are like the little things you need here and there to really make a successful team.
Yeah, I mean, with McGill, we've seen him fall off after April before. Like, that's something that we're accustomed to. The good thing about this is that the fact that I don't need to worry about this as a whole is the fact that when there is somebody that does come back, or whether there is somebody else you can replace in there, he doesn't have to hold up. He doesn't have to hold up, because if he doesn't hold up, then there's a decision to be made. There's other possibilities that they need to address. And I think that, there's plenty of guys in this pitching staff in the organization now that they could call to. Could you be seeing a debut of a young pitcher? Could you be seeing Paul Blackburn exist? Probably not. That's kind of rough. That's kind of wishful thinking. But there's other guys possibly. We know that it's a good problem to have. If we have more of these long relief guys, then maybe that takes a little bit more of the workload off of a guy like Max Kranick. We already have 3 long relief guys. I personally like Kranick, Budo, and Brazaban, all of them. I like them for the concept of getting 4 outs. I like it more of that than just doing 2. It's all really about this getting the 27 outs once the starter kind of runs out of gas and after the 5th inning, like stuff like that. But if you're looking at 4 outs from among the 3 of them, not even including the back end of the bullpen that you need to come through, but if you're looking at the combination of these 2 guys in these 3 guys in long relief getting 4 outs, 12 outs there, that's 4 innings that you're adding up together there out of relief following the starter that kind of loses gas after the 5th inning. So again, you're piecing that together in that way where you just can have 1 4-outs guy, then you go Garrett, Stanek. Hopefully Nunez regains his form. That would be awesome, because what we've been seeing has been kind of concerning. And then, of course, building that bridge to Edwin Diaz in the 9th inning, who, once again, is going to be in the 9th inning, whether people like it or not. He is your closer. Anyways, but when it comes to, I think, the whole, putting it together with this team, we have had a rough performance from guys like Tyler McGill. We have had a rough performance maybe from Clay Holmes here and then. It's really, it's really something that I kind of just look past, not just because of the depth on the team, but I think that it's more of just the fact that the offense has to come together here. And I feel like I'm seeing a little bit more of the impression of in the moment, especially on social media, of how a lot of Mets fans, like yesterday with Griffin Canning giving up the tying run to Pete Crow Armstrong, that solo home run, I was seeing a lot of, people going after Griffin Canning. And the problem that I have with this is, again, you got to look at the scoreboard here. Did Reed Garrett give away the lead? Yes, but when you have 2 runs on the board, that's kind of hard to, articulate into, well, the pitching, it wasn't as good. This offense should be, something that, could be a little bit more of a guarantee to 4 to 5 runs in here. And I think that it's also, it's a part of this discussion that I can't listen to any complaints about the pitching staff anymore. Like I've put myself on autopilot with that. Sure, there have been rough outings from the bullpen. Sure, there have been from starters that aren't as sharp. And of course, you can hold them accountable for not having an individual good start. But in total of the team's performance, like, come on. Like, you can't win with 2 runs on the board. You can't win with 1 run on the board. You're like, and if you're upset about that, and if you're upset about them giving away the tying run, maybe the offense isn't so great. And that's kind of how it is. And Ken, no, I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying Canning pitched great, and if he gave away the tying run, if he gave away the tying run, it's not on him because the Mets have scored 1 run, and we know they're capable of more. Not what I'm saying. You're misinterpreting that completely. But I think if they give away this tying run in a 1-run game, where it's very low scoring, it's all really depending on the situation. And then the overall performance of these guys. And I'm not saying that Griffin Canning should get off the hook for that pitch to PCA, because PCA was chasing a lot, and they probably should not have been forcing fastballs to him. But again, I can't criticize the pitching staff at all because of how bad this team has been situationally hitting. And I know that sounds like I'm just letting them off the hook, but it's like laying your own shit a little bit. The offense has failed to show up like 80% of the game. So again, it's like, it falls on the offense a lot as to why this team has not elevated to a different level where I'm like, okay, this looks like a first-round team, a first-place team, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I get, like, the individual performances. I understand it. Like, McGill, he's been rough these past few outings. We've had a few blow-ups here and there. Pitching staff hasn't been perfect as compared to what it was in April. It wasn't going to happen. But as to what it was in April, they need this offense to perform a lot better than just putting up 1 run all the way into the 7th. That can't happen. That just can't happen. The offense has to come through, and that's the main reason as to why I'm overlooking everything that the pitching does, because there's things that happen that I'm like, well, the offense has to be better. I don't know what happened. I think you just got sucked into a dimension, but hey, It happens. So now that you're back from the dimension,
Yes.
I mean,
I
it's
try to
just
change the browser. This way the camera stops doing weird stuff. So we'll see if that helps everyone.
okay.
I apologize. But here's the thing with pitching. Like, guess what, guys? A pitcher can miss location. So you may intend to like throw out of the zone to PCA, but you miss your release point, and guess what? It's in the zone and he hit it over the fence.
Yeah.
That does happen. Like pitchers do miss spots. As much as I get annoyed, I'm like, I don't think they intended to throw this pitch down the middle in this count against this hitter in this situation. Like that's part of pitching, but it's like if he gives up if he goes whatever it was yesterday, 6 innings or 5 innings, 1 run against the Cubs offense, really, we're upset about that. This is Griffin.
That's
Canning,
what I
folks.
mean. I'm like,
also,
seriously, like
you have to put under the lens that this guy was one of, if not the worst starting pitcher in the American League last year. Like to get that out of him and still, now middle of May and Canning is still all in all been awesome is crazy. Like the Mets
I think we're just I feel like the fingers are getting pointed so in such a reactionary way that it's like I'm seeing it was like, oh, nice pitch, Canning, you really screwed us there. I'm like, it's 1-run ball over 6 innings that you're getting from the guy who was the worst pitcher in baseball last year. Are you kidding me? Like, tell the offense to lay in their own shit and figure something out. It's like,
it's like get a hit here or there and a solo homer to PCA. It doesn't mean much. The thing that annoyed me most, and I tweeted, was like Gary Cohen was like, Armstrong in Flushing. That's
Frank. Frank, by the way, did you know that the Mets traded Pete Crow Armstrong?
Well, if SNY didn't tell me, Fox made sure to let me know, and if Fox didn't tell me, Roku made sure to let me know. So I made sure that I didn't miss it, and
they got you covered.
3 different people, but like Gary had that so ready to go, like locked and loaded. It sounded like it was from a script, and I was like,
of course.
Why are we so like focused on making sure that this is what we like really nail home?
Yeah.
Like, the Mets trade away, like we know, like we are.
We know. We're aware.
Like Met fans know.
We're aware that the same guy that did trade him got a DUI like 2 weeks later. Yeah, we are aware. We're aware. Yes, we are aware. And I'm just going to let you guys know one more time.
And then Carson, wait, they doubled down because they're like, and then Justin Turner, who's a former Met, him and PCA are best friends now. It's like, great. Like, just keep
sick.
Keep digging it. Just keep digging. Like, come on now.
Sick. Yeah, 6. They've both been wronged by the organization. Yeah, I'm sure that's true. But shut up.
It's like they're assembling.
We get it.
I mean, Carson, you probably don't know this, but it's like they're assembling their own version of the Thunderbolts. It's like all these guys that were done wrong in the past, now they all become together, become a team.
Yeah,
like that's what the Cubs are now. Just like a bunch of Mets that they let get away, and this is what happens.
Joining forces after being done wrong, and we know that this organization was bad. We know at one point it was a clown show. They're trying to move out of it, but there's still shades around the league. There's still guys.
Than 1 point, much more than 1 point. They were a clown.
Much more than 1 point. Yeah. It was more of a collective of multiple decades that they were incompetent. I'm just going to let you guys know the Mets did trade Pete Crow Armstrong. I'm just letting you know. If you did not know that, that this is new information. I did not know, but I'm just letting you guys know one more time. The Mets traded Pete Crow Armstrong to the Cubs for Javier Baez. So, listen, so in case you guys need one more never mind. Anyways, it's just like, we get it. We know. We know that this is going to be a storyline and they're going to milk it. We all know that Fox has a gripe to put guys out there that are just going to backhandedly talk about the Mets. Which again, we understand it. But just saying it in so many different in so many different ways, like, oh, they dealt this guy, and oh, Mark Vientos is big friends with PCA, and they called each other when one of them got traded. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, seriously, what for what reason are we doing just to talk about that? Like, we know Pete Crow Armstrong has become a really good player recently, and he's produced very well, but it's like, yes, he's just completely tied to the Mets now. And the guy who traded him is no longer here. It's just like, I'm okay if they mention it once, but 17 times is enough. I think it's enough. Definitely. But anyways, uh, we'll see what happens, going forward with what happens with this offense, like we have said. There's another thing, this we've talked about it already before Game for War, saying Mendy's different lineups every day still make the Mets incompetent. I wouldn't say incompetent, but I just feel like there's a lack of consistency within the lineup, and it definitely comes in through a rhythm. And I think that when it comes to the lineup being formed in a way, you change your approach. We know that Brandon Nimmo was a leadoff hitter. Now he's a cleanup hitter. He's a lot different now. Like this happens before. Like this happens. It's not something that's like, oh well, you're batting in this order. Go out there and hit. Like this game is a little bit more complex in terms of matchups of who is on the mound and who throws as much in the zone or who attacks much of the zone. There's a way that the lineup gets kind of formed in there, and you got to have to kind of protect those types of flaws, whether it is with power protection or flaw protection or just creating more damage with the lineup. And I feel like having different lineups every single day doesn't help. I just don't think it does. That's my opinion. That's how it is. Anything you want to add with that?
No, I mean, listen, today's another lineup. The fact that they have McNeil hitting sixth and playing center field, like that's a new combination. So this is just how it's been. Like, I mean, to the point, like it is a different lineup every day. So we'll see. I mean, they did well against the Cubs series, so I thought that maybe would have kind of stuck with that a little bit, but this is just what they've been doing all season long, and I don't know. I mean, it's Paul Skeens,
I don't agree with that.
We'll see.
Well, you have what's his name in the middle of the lineup who homered off of him, right? I mean, you're facing Paul Skeens. Didn't McNeil hit a home run off of him?
He did
last year.
He did, yeah, in Pittsburgh.
How did it happen? We don't know. But
he homered in the Cubs series too.
Maybe he'll do it again. Sure. But anyways, as for some other things that I do want to get into here, I do want to talk about something that we kind of gloss over last episode, which did happen. The Mets did sign a relief pitcher to a minor league deal and moved him to AAA Syracuse, and that being Colin Poche. I think I'm saying that correctly. Colin Poche, he was with the Nationals to start the season. It was dreadful for him. He was awful. Obviously, this is a discussion that I feel like would just go on a temporary note. It'd be on the screen. You'd be like, hey, you signed him. But when it comes to the left-handed depth chart right now with the Mets, it's a little thin. And when it comes to Minter being out, Danny Young is done for the year. So is Minter. You have Genesis Cabrera in the bullpen right now, who's pitched okay, but we'll see how long that lasts. So there are going to be some guys that they're going to have to plug in. Maybe there's somebody they look at the deadline. We know that Brooks Raley is someone who will most likely come back eventually, but it's not going to be right away because he's recovering from elbow surgery and the internal brace with Tommy John. So it'll be a while since he starts rehab, which might be around in June. So I do want to get into Colin Poche here because I think at face value, it's very easy to write this off as like, oh, well, this guy was terrible and we're bringing him in. This is going to be our help. Well, I think that at face value, it's very easy to say that. I really do. And I think that the right response here is, look what the cat dragged in. I mean, it's basically just been a horrendous look for him. Those percentiles are not correct, by the way. That is a typo. My bad. But as you can see, an earned run average over 11, whether you are a reliever or not, that's not good. And not to mention, it's over 9 innings. He nearly pitched 9 innings for the Nationals. So it definitely was not a good outing. It definitely was not a good tenure or lack thereof tenure for Colin Poche with the Nationals, who signed a minor league contract. They designated him for assignment a few weeks ago. But there are some encouraging things that you can take in. I will say this fastball, very good fastball shape. Like we've talked about with induced vertical break, over 20 inches of induced vertical break, which is very, very encouraging on average. So you're probably seeing him spike to about 21 and a half, which is really good fastball shape, especially from the left side. He's hit 95, 96 before, didn't this year. We obviously see the only plus pitch being that fastball. He has a slider. He's mainly a two-pitch guy from the left side. Now, when it comes to his experience with Tampa Bay, we know Tampa Bay doing well with a lot of pitchers. From 2022 to 2024, he posted a 3.27 earned run average across 156.2 innings with Tampa Bay, obviously getting the best out of him the way that Tampa Bay did. And these numbers are correct. He was not able to get chases, got a decent amount of strikeouts for the amount of walks that he was, but he was walking a ton of batters. He walked, I believe, 10 of the 47 batters that he faced with the Nationals. So a really rough stretch for him. It's 8 2/3 innings. So does that mean his career is completely over? No. And that's the main reason as to why the Mets probably took a flyer on him as a lefty, which the Mets are kind of struggling the lefty reliever department as of right now. He was getting hit hard, wasn't able to expand the zone. Just not what we've seen from Colin Poche for the last 3 years, like we said in Tampa, when he did so well from them from the left side. I think that this is one of the options down the line that maybe they will make some tweaks with, of course. Obviously, like I said, at face value, 31 years old, not a great 31-year-old season, not off to the greatest start. But there is some stuff that they can apply here. But I think, Frank, we can all agree that the main thing for him is he's got to throw strikes, because that has been the main problem with him. And he's been one of those pieces in that Washington bullpen that we've talked about it before, why it's been so terrible.
Yeah, I mean, listen, going from Tampa Bay to Washington, as far as when it comes to the pitching department, is a pretty big deal. And to your point, I mean, this season with the Nationals and his limited sample size, they're at 12.5 walks per nine, and he pitched about 9 innings. Compared to in Tampa, he was always in the threes, low threes, mid threes. So, I mean, that definitely is a big change for a pitcher. And like you said, if he's not throwing strikes, it's going to make things just really rough for him. So that definitely was the main issue. And we'll see if it's something the Mets are able to work with. He's trying to incorporate that curveball. It's not something that he really was throwing the last couple of seasons, and he's only using it at 2% usage. But still, I mean, even when he was with Tampa, he was using the slider a little more. So I wonder if maybe they're going to try to focus more on that, because that's something the Mets have made an effort to do when they are bringing in pitchers and they are trying to either get them to bounce back or trying to improve them. They change up the pitch selection, some of the pitch sequencing. We've seen that with a guy like Griffin Canning and some others. So I wonder if they're going to try to go with that approach with Poche, if and when he probably does get here. So he's a guy that he was very good, though. I mean, when he was with Tampa, in a pretty big sample size too, and not even that long ago. I mean, like as early as 2023, he was at a 2.23 ERA with the Rays and 60 innings pitched out of the bullpen. So he's someone that he could certainly have an impact when things are going right. So he's not that far removed from when he was solid. And as we know, I mean, this is what Stern specialized in. He has an eye for talent, especially underutilized talent or talent that, they feel like they can make some tweaks here or there and they get much better results out of. So, there's no such bad thing as a minor league contract, especially left-handed relievers. So I'm all for it. And, who knows? By the time the season's all said and done, you have Poche in there and Brooks Raley, another former Tampa arm who the Mets traded to come here a couple years ago. All those injuries happened. But, all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, we have no lefties that we trust. And all of a sudden you might have a couple by the time it's all said and done. So this you just kind of have to let it play out and, see if it pays off.
I mean, here's the thing. I really I like this edition only just because there's a base here. I feel like if there was some things that weren't as encouraging and it was more of just like this high floor arm that Well, he's gotten outs before. He'll do this outs before again, but I feel like, again, plus fastball, of course, slider usage down a little bit. There's another thing in here that I feel like is the more encouraging part of this different look type of philosophy that you get from David Stearns as well. This is a very high arm angle that this guy is throwing at, about 57 degree for 58 degree arm angle from the left side. Not to mention with that, like I said, over 20 inches of induced vertical break on a fastball. So again, this is probably a separation thing that I'm seeing. I'm also seeing release points be very tipped here as compared to what he was seeing. I'm seeing the slider and the fastball here in the underlying under the hood stuff. I'm seeing the slider and the fastball very far apart in release points. So maybe some type of a tipping thing, which is most likely possible when you're throwing overhand like that, which, sports science has talked about, of like the chimpanzee arm angle where he's like winding it up. So again, I think that there are things that are here. I think there's a low floor, as we're seeing right here, where he can't find the strike zone, and they're going to have to touch some things up there. We'll see how he does in AAA, but it is going to be another option that maybe could be someone who could eat innings and fill in what we need to fill in before guys like Brooks Raley maybe come back. Before maybe there's somebody else in there like Felipe De La Cruz, which I think was mentioned in the chat here, who is actually off to a really good start in AAA Syracuse, but he can also go multiple innings, so that could be something that they maybe try. But from the left side, those different types of looks, you definitely get that with somebody like Colin Poche. Hopefully, there is something that they can find here where he, regresses to some kind of median, and he's not the 12 earned run average pitcher that we saw in Washington, D.C., because after what we saw in Tampa from him, we know that's not the case. So again, this was not a great year for him so far. Maybe he can pick it up some way and they can tweak some things with him. But we'll see how they do well with these matchups. I don't know what his platoon splits are, if it's like similar to what they saw with Danny Young or whatever from a certain arm angle. But I think this is another piece that is a major league ready piece that just had a really, really rough start. Nothing was going well for him, and maybe they can tap into it once again from what he did in Tampa for multiple years.
Yeah, he's got reverse splits this year so far. Okay. I mean, with the Washington Nationals, versus lefties, OPS over 1,163 compared to 774 against righties. So they got to figure what's going on over there, because that is pretty drastic. So we'll see how that goes, but that's what it was so far with Washington.
In his career, he has faced 600 right-handed batters and only about 300 left-handed batters. So it seems like he's had reverse splits throughout his entire career, mainly just because of the overall usage with right-handed hitters. But it seems like he does well against righties as well, and it seems like he's done well with lefties in his career too. It seems like overall, at face value, 202 better. Guys are batting 202 against him from the right side, 211 from the left side. So he's had a good sample of pitching to both platoons. Seems like he gives up more. Hard contact to lefties, which is very odd. That's probably because of, I'm going to guess, the high arm angle of where he's pitching up in the zone and probably attacking hitters a little bit more. But I guess it's probably just more of the separation between his fastball and his slider that they're going to have to figure out, because it seems like from different release points, he was definitely tipping pitches. Makes sense that he is tipping pitches for how awful he was with Washington, but there is something that they can definitely grab into. It seems like he does better from the stretch, which is good, which is pretty good. So when there's runners on base, it seems like he does better there. Cool. But again, those are just career numbers. We don't know where he's at this current moment. But again, there's this high arm angle There's insane amount of extension as well, because he is a relatively tall individual, right? He's 6'3". Okay, well, he definitely brings in a lot of extension as well with a high arm angle. So maybe it's a little bit of a tedious wind up, but maybe they can tap into it. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has a very unique style. Like you said, that arm angle is just absolutely crazy. And for his
Yeah,
slider to also be going glove side, so from the if you're left-handed and your slider is
yeah,
going all the way to the right, like that is it's like a frisbee, like we talked about. So
yes.
that's or a boomerang more so. Like that's a weird one. So I could see why you could run into some trouble doing that.
Yeah, definitely a arm angle you can definitely pick up from. Maybe they lower it a little bit. Maybe there's an increase of velocity. You never know. Like somebody like with what happened with Jake Diekman later in his career, obviously not with the Mets, but later on in his career where he was adding velocity because he had that certain
So we're
extension.
talking about 57, but in 2023, his arm angle was 65 degrees. So I mean, it used to be even more crazy. So that's pretty interesting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Interesting.
even last year was also 65 degrees. So this year he actually dropped it down a little bit and is now running into some more issues. Still had that great extension, but the results not so
Yeah,
much.
okay. I think I'm seeing what the issue is. Yeah. Okay. All right. So it's a pronation issue probably from the he's hanging way too much. Basically just catching too much of the plate is what I'm seeing, and then when he's missing really really bad, and
And he throws it
possibly
so high with the fastball.
in
I
he
mean, and
and
that's the thing
possibly
too is
in
that
yeah,
you don't really get the high strike as much as you did like way back when, and that's not going to be a difference
yeah.
between 2023 and now. But still, it's like pitching up in the zone. You're at 92, like it's different. You know what I mean? So I
It's
mean,
about
and that
spots.
could be why, yeah, and that could be why they target him because I know it's something they want to do is have these different looks out of the bullpen because like if you're facing like Kodai Senga or Griffin Canning or somebody or McGill, and then all of a sudden you face Poche, like that's a totally different look than what
Yeah.
you were just facing.
Where the guy is just, doing like the Kareem arm angle at this point. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
65
Hook
degrees?
shots.
What how is that how do you not break your arm? Hold on. What?
Yeah.
That's okay. Well, sick. It should be interesting. We'll see. But, I think when it comes to this bullpen specifically, you obviously have multiple guys down. You know that Brooks Raley is probably going to be treated with kid gloves, obviously, coming back from Tommy John surgery. Genesis Cabrera, we'll see how long that lasts. I don't know if there hasn't been any improvement in his profile, but I know it's been kind of rough for him
I mean,
since
his first
he
outing was bad, but he did
got
really
hurt.
good in St. Louis, and even in this series in Game 2, he
Yeah,
was also solid. So I mean, maybe he's putting it together. So I mean, there's still such a small
possible.
sample size, and they've been very judicious with when they use him. Like they're not overworking the guy. It's like you see him rarely. So I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like they're just kind of playing it safe with him until he could kind of gain the trust to be used in bigger spots.
He also has the high arm angle from 43 degrees, not in the extreme of Poche, but in an angle that can make your arm hurt if you watch it. So, that is one thing. Now, speaking of angles, that's something that you're taught in geometry. But also, there is another discussion that was put out on social media yesterday from our great friend Bob Nightingale, the trustworthy and great Bob Nightingale, who's fantastic. But we did get a report about something, and I don't want to spend so much time on this because, again, it's a discussion that doesn't really belong here at this current moment in the middle of May. But it is also opens a little bit of a discussion, obviously, with the timeline here. Now, Luis Robert Jr., we do expect him to be possibly traded at the deadline with the White Sox going absolutely nowhere. I'm surprised he hasn't been traded yet, to be honest. But it hasn't been the best stretch for him since the beginning of 2023. But I do want to read out what we did see from Bob Nightingale. He said on USA Today, he's saying the White Sox finally are starting to get some inquiries for center fielder Luis Robert Jr., with the Mets among teams checking in and showing interest. Chicago is eyeing Mets pitching prospect Blade Tidwell as part of a package in return. Now, John Heyman, who does have the connection to Scott Boras, who is one of his clients, is Luis Robert Jr., so probably there is a little bit of a connection here. He said that there's nothing hot at the moment with the Mets and Luis Robert, which probably is expected because it's the middle of May. And he said they have checked in on him in the past. Center field isn't a necessity, but a potential area of interest down the road. Now, some of the notes here for him contractually, it's a very bargain of a contract for the upside that he does have. He signed a 6-year, $50 million extension with Chicago back in 2020. He has club options for 2026 and 2027, very cost controllable, making about 8 to 10 million around there in that range for the next few years. He started off his career great, 129 weighted runs created plus, 10-win player over 3 seasons from 2021 to 2023. But recently it hasn't been great. Since the beginning of 2023, he's slashing 215, 282, 366, 82 weighted runs created plus. The defense has taken a little bit of a dip, but it still has been at that higher level recently. So it's definitely a buy low candidate for the Mets going forward to look at up the middle. I think that this discussion, we have had it before about Luis Robert back when he was a little bit more of a higher asset and higher regarded asset, but recently it hasn't been the best. I was talking with Andrew yesterday, and he told me that our co-host Frank has a pretty interesting outlook when it comes to Luis Robert, because he told me that you guys have discussed it before without me there. You excluded me, but I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this, only because it's like the middle of May as of right now. But I'm personally not willing to go to the big extremes that maybe I was willing to go to 3 years ago for somebody like this. Not just because of the overall production, but just like the overall look and the overall direction of this franchise going forward. There's things you got to piece together, I feel like, with this whole discussion. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Frank, but it's very weird. I don't know. Very, very weird timing for this to come out, personally. Weird. Very odd.
It is weird, especially if it's something that isn't recent. Like if the Mets had just made a call, like, okay, fine. But I don't know, maybe a slow news day. Maybe Bob just wants to talk about like, oh, here's like some old news I have that I'll just report it now so that people will talk about it. Maybe that's the approach he went to. But, for Robert, it's a weird case because he is only 27 and he was great in 2023. I mean, amazing. 38 home runs, like just insanely good. But last year, very bad. This year, even worse. And it's like, he's only 27. So what the heck is going on? Now, could it be that the White Sox are just so bad and have no direction that he's just kind of given up and packed it in and is like, well, I'm stuck, so I'm not going to try anymore? Maybe. But I feel like, it's kind of, if he wants to get out of being a White Sox, the way to do that is playing better, because teams will want you, teams will trade for you. Because right now, if I'm the Mets or any team, I'm like, do I want to do this? I'm like, I know there's potential there, but I don't know, because it's like his metrics are interesting because it's like his bat speed is awesome. His speed is awesome. He's got a strong arm. Like the athleticism is there, but he's not squaring up the ball. But he's whiffing at it. But you know what I mean? So it's like there are these other things that don't complement it. So it's like he still has talent inside, but as far as actually getting results and good performance, we haven't seen that. So, and he was chasing the ball a ton. But it's very interesting. And it's like to give up Blade And I know with seeing how his major league debut went, people are probably like, "Oh, that's a great deal. He stinks. Like, just trade him." No, not really. It's like I don't love getting rid of cost controllable starting pitching, especially a guy like Blade who's got good velo, and he still could do something later on. Like I'm not going to overreact to one start. I don't love doing this for Robert. I mean, on a lower package, sure, like you said, it has to be buy low. It has got to be buy low. The only things that are very good are those club options because if you trade for him, and even if he's not 2023, but he's still really good, you're like, okay, great, we'll pick up the club option, we'll keep him. But if you see the same not good baseball, then you're like, okay, well, forget it, goodbye. So that's the weird thing about him when you're making a trade is that he could be a rental for you, or he could be someone that you have for a few years, and that's all dependent on the team. So that's something that is just very intriguing. A contract like this doesn't become available quite frequently, especially a guy who is 27. So this is a unique circumstance, but it's still something that it's like until and I just feel like since he's worse this year than he was last year, I don't see him just kind of turning it on. Like let's say we get to a trade deadline and I'm like, oh, Robert, he's back to where he was supposed to be. Like he's playing great now. I don't see it. Like, we're now talking, more than a year where this guy's just not been very good. So I don't really love it. I'm saying it's risky. And again, like you said, it just has to be buy low. If I'm not giving up much, sure, because he obviously has a higher upside and more potential than Tyrone Taylor and Jose Siri and Jeff McNeil and whatever other combination let's want to do with center field, Jose Zokar or whatever else. Sure. I mean, Gilbert is Luis Robert is the better option. But if they have to give up anything more than that, like I wouldn't give up a top 10 prospect for him. I just don't see that right now. In 2023, sure, because he was amazing. But right now, no. And it's kind of like what happened with Baez a couple years ago, where I was like, if you want him, you can't give up much. You want to give it a try, okay, but don't give up much. And of course, they give up PCA. But it's kind of like that, where it's like you have to be very careful here. Like, don't give up much. If you can get them, great. If somebody else wants to overpay, let them have at it, because I just think it's too risky.
Yeah, I really think this was a discussion that sounded a lot more appetizing, maybe, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, with what we saw, and possibly thinking there's plenty to come with this kid. It really has not been shown these last few years. And I just, again, there's a certain fit that there is here. I just don't see it here in New York of that continuing to be better, of the team that completely elevates him and unlocks this, ungodly amount of potential that he has, because he's shown it before. It just hasn't come recently. Some people in the chat are agreeing in here saying, Luis Robert trade makes little sense since we're deep at outfield here and in AAA. Odd Villain is saying that Luis Robert and Jose Siri are very similar. They've been similar recently. I guess that's easy to say. Jay-Z is saying going from the White Sox to the Mets would be a massive shock for Robert. I don't trust him to produce. Stay away. And I do agree with that it's very, very possible that this type of transition from Chicago to New York still would not
It's not
do well.
Just that. It's also going from last year, a team that was historically one of the worst teams in baseball, to a team that's in first place and second best record in baseball. Like, totally different. Like, it's not just Chicago and New York. It's also like worst teams, one of the better teams. Like, those are two big shocks to do.
Yeah, obviously, and we all know how highly touted of a prospect he was at one point. So there probably would be some expectation for him to kind of tap into that production again, and hasn't happened recently. I don't really go from like the recency bias, because I know that this kid is a lot better than what he has been showing recently. The problem that I look at here is I think that there's some work ethic problems with Luis Robert. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it here. Again, with how he has been performing, whether he wants to be with the White Sox or not, probably not. Like, nobody wants to be with the White Sox at this current moment. I mean, it's been a disaster there. And that has nothing to do with the players. It's more of just the management up top, which is completely clueless. But when it comes to Luis, I think there has been, him just kind of mailing it in a lot recently. I really just, I feel like, am I back? Did I
you were
glitch
back
out there?
Yeah.
Did I glitch out there?
Yeah,
I don't know
you're
what
good.
happened. My internet just likes to reset itself. But I just, like I was saying, it's I feel like it's more of a thing where I don't know how long this is going to latch on and how he's going to, come back here. But also another piece of the factor, I feel like if you were to get rid of someone for Luis Robert, it has to be Drew Gilbert. You have to get rid of Drew Gilbert, which I don't want to do. I really don't feel like doing. If it was for Luis Robert from 2 years ago, sure. But we don't know if that Luis Robert from 2 years ago is going to translate over to New York. And I feel like there is, maybe it is some kind of it's a mental thing. Because again, we've seen this before. Maybe it's just, he's just not, again, the work ethic issues. Like I've said, it's all very, very possible. And if you do display that on the New York stage, it's not going to end well. It 100% will not end well. Because the White Sox, they're so bad and everything is just falling apart for them. When you're in New York, you're going to be pushed so far into the fire because that's just how it is. That's literally just how the stage is. It will never stop. That's just basically how fans, media are. It's basically accepted as the way of life, basically. We've seen better players than Luis Robert get shoved under the bus way quicker and way older, way younger in their career. It has happened. But again, I just don't think that is a good fit. I personally would not do it. I think it's something that you can monitor before the trade deadline if you want to do it. Blade Tidwell, no, not putting him on the table. If it has to do with somebody like up here now in the infield, such as Brett Beatty or Luis Angel Acuna, who are contributing like these marginal things where you can replace internally with tools, maybe if they're in that discussion, it's a possibility, but it has to be a lot more buy low. I don't think Blade Tidwell is the level of buy low, even though he has struggled at the higher levels, and it's kind of been a drop for him since his stretches in single A and double A. But I don't want to give up a cost controllable pitcher for someone I know can be better, but will he be better as the starting center fielder? And right now I just feel more comfortable with Tyrone Taylor up the middle. Like that's kind of just how I feel right now. And it has nothing to do with if I think Tyrone Taylor is better than Luis Robert. Recently, they've been pretty similar in interaction. The difference is there's expectation with Luis Robert. Tyrone Taylor is making $2 million and is a fourth outfielder throughout his entire career. So again, I just don't know if this is the correct move here. If Stearns likes him, he likes him. But if you were to buy in on Luis Robert, you kind of have to move Drew Gilbert. You kind of have to because you have both corners around center field locked in. Like there's nothing you can do. It's not like, oh, well, this is interchangeable. This guy can DH or whatever. Nimmo is in left. He's here for a long time. Soto's in right. He's here for an even longer time. Center field. The only way that Drew Gilbert's going to develop, who's been great in AAA, by the way, shout out to him. Great in AAA. The only way he's going to develop is if he plays every day. And he gets the playing time. You're not going to get that with Luis Robert. It's not going to happen. It just isn't. So I just don't think it's the right look. But if you were to end up doing it, you're probably going to have whether it is Blade Tidwell as that piece, because it seemed like in that report he was just part of the package. So you're probably looking at Tidwell and Gilbert, which I feel like is an overpay at this current moment. I just believe so.
Yeah, no,
If there's anything else, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't make that deal. I mean, if there's any potential trade target I would be more inclined to. You have a better chance of me going for Rafael Devers, who does not play center field, but he hits baseballs pretty hard. I'd rather go for him than go for Robert in center. That's just me.
Yeah. Oh, you think the station is bad now?
Well, listen, we'll have a real DH, or you put Devers at third, put Vientos at DH. Listen, you want to get rid of Marte, you put Devers in there, and we're cooking. Like that's a powerful lineup.
Okay, so
You just
what you're saying is you want to get rid of a $20 million DH to bring in a $29 million DH who's making money through 2034. That's what you're telling me?
I want to hit home runs. I want to do things like.
Well, there's a guy in Philly we'll get to sign a short term for that. Don't worry. We're getting there. Let's be patient. We're just letting things die down. Let's just say that. And then there's also stuff about Devers. You can also go into the Devers conversation. That's also just like him just not wanting to play first base at all.
So just put him at third. That's fine. Play third. No problem.
But Brett Beatty hit 3 home runs in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Because Devers was fine. No, Devers was fine all his whole career, and then all of a sudden Bregman got here, and then things went haywire. So he's not like a guy who's consistently had issues. Yeah. Like this.
I just feel like in the context, situation. It's just kind of, and also this is not something David Stearns would ever do. Like that would Luis Robert. I see. Devers, no. I don't see that happening at all.
Yeah,
no.
True. It's not Stearns.
Yeah. I mean, it makes it a little bit more of a shit-wrecking lineup, which I like it from that look. But for some of the problems the Mets have on offense in efficient ways, Devers ain't going to help that. He really is not going to help. Whether it's just the power department, yes, because he can give you that sort of power, but the station to station, the situational stuff, which I think he's also struggled with this year, I don't know. That's more of just putting shit to the wall. But
he's a guy that's driven and runs before. I mean, it could
absolutely
just be you become a Met and you don't know how to.
So is Juan Soto, and that bum can't do nothing.
Yeah, so it could happen. I mean, anything is possible, but I just think that he's someone that at least I know will help the Mets for sure. If he became Robert, I'm not sure if he would actually help, because if you
that's two different discussions.
Get the same version of Robert that he is now, he doesn't help you. But if you got the same version of Devers, he does help you, or even a slightly worse version, he still helps you because of how bad. Because that's the thing is that Heyman said, "Oh, center field not much of a need right now," but DH is a need right now because Winker is out and Marte stinks, so it's like you could use a DH.
Well, once again, Brett Beatty, 3 home runs in the last 2 days.
But we just talked about last episode of like they have not taken the DH position seriously. They have not actually invested to fully address it. And it's like if you had Devers at third and you had Vientos DHing, and Vientos said like whether it was today or yesterday, absolutely he's willing to DH. It lines up. Like everything just kind of like lines up much better. The contract, it's a lot. It's a lot of years, a lot of money. But oh well. Listen, there's teams that spend more, so I don't really want to hear it.
I get it, but I just don't think it's the fit that everyone thinks it is as compared to, well, look at this on paper. This is a great lineup, which yes, it can help you. But I feel like filling in the margins of what they need, you're looking at like a Luis Robert to take. Is it Robert or Robert? What is it?
I say Robert, but
Robert. Okay. Well, we'll call him Louis the Second. Louis the Second or Louis the Eighth or whatever. I think it's one thing. 2 different situations, both probably disgruntled players as of right now who have been stars in this game at one point, or Devers, who still is a star in this game. It's 2 different types of discussions. I see, obviously with the reports of them checking in on him, I don't see Devers in their cards at all, especially with what they got going on with this infield of that surplus.
The Dodgers trade for him then is basically what you're saying.
I mean, if we're gonna trade for somebody just so the Dodgers don't get him, we're going to
No,
be
but you
chasing
can
their
still,
tail the whole
no, but I'm
time.
saying that you could still use them, and it's like the team that most realistically could get him, it would be the Dodgers. So
Probably.
I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
why would you let the gap get even wider?
I don't know. I have no clue, but
I mean,
again,
you pay 15 years for Juan Soto to finish second place. Why would you do that? That's kind of
I
dumb.
would I would like to finish third because then we'll get to build character, and we won't lose any games. We'll learn lessons. But
And the
hey,
thing too, and also like I always say is that I'm more so one that prefers trade than free agency, because at least with Devers, like if the Red Sox agree, like, okay, Devers is mine. With Schwarber, I don't know how that's gonna go. Like maybe I get him, maybe I don't. Like I don't want
no,
to
well,
go in.
we're
I don't
not
want
going
to
to
go
trade
in.
for him, but
No, but I'm saying that next offseason, like I don't want to go into the offseason like, oh, it kind of it's banked on like, do I get Schwarber? And also like Kyle next year is going to be 33. Like, what kind of contract are you
and
realistically giving him? What many years you giving Schwarber?
I don't know, 2, 3.
If you
Something like
give
that.
him 3, guess what? You're gonna have another 36-year-old DH by year 3, which we just
Yeah,
complained
and one
about the
who's a
last
good
2
and one
seasons.
who's an actual good hitter.
Yeah, and JD Martinez actually was a good hitter, and then he became a Met and was not good anymore when he became.
Yeah, but you
36.
have to understand something about Schwarbombs, okay? They're beautiful. All right,
Oh,
they're
I know.
beautiful. They're
Listen,
majestic.
you know I love Schwarbs, but I mean, eventually, the man's gonna get kind of old. So
Well,
it
yeah,
happens to
of
everybody.
course. But everyone's gonna get old. I mean, you of all people should know that, right?
Oh, I know
mean,
all about getting old, but I'm just saying that like it's. I don't think it's like it's not
yeah, I mean,
like
listen, there's always
I love
gaps in
Schwarber,
everybody's
but I don't. It's
performance.
still
But
not the long-term solution of the DH problem. Like it's a 2-year.
no, but I don't think anybody is, unless it's Shohei Ohtani,
Well, yes.
who's not going to be on the market. So
No,
you have no.
I wouldn't count on that being available.
Now, would I trade my entire life savings for Yordan Alvarez? 100%, because I think he's a monster. But
Jordan ain't playing too great this year. So you want to make a huge trade for you'll make a huge trade for Jordan, but
he's
Devers.
not in his 30s.
And neither is Devers. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm aware, but he also has a shitty contract that is gonna age poorly.
Listen, somebody's gonna have to pay Jordan.
Well, that'll be me. I will 100% pay 100% of that contract to have Jordan in the orange and blue. You kidding me?
He's already wearing orange.
Yeah, well, gotta add the blue. Yeah, Jordan, I do a lot for Jordan. That's okay. We already know that. I do a lot for some of these players, obviously. But we'll see how they approach that. I feel like the DH position is going to have to be addressed at the deadline. Will they do it? Who knows? I have no clue. But again, with this lineup, Luis Robert is definitely a fit of what he can provide. The context and how you're getting him, it still is very confusing. So I feel like this is a storyline that goes down to the trade deadline. It's all about how he is playing, what they want to do with Drew Gilbert. Is Jose Siri healthy? Who knows? We have no idea. And speaking of Siri,
he was playing he was playing catch today. They posted the video. So and they said,
well, that sounds like an injury report.
Sure does.
All right, Frank, I'll swing it over to you with the injury report. We got some updates here. The floor is yours.
Okay, so starting it off with Frankie Montas. Mets starting pitcher threw his third bullpen session at Citi Field on Tuesday afternoon. Mets manager Carlos Mendoza reported this week that Montas is scheduled to throw a fourth bullpen session on Friday and is expected to face hitters by the end of the week. The 32-year-old right-hander has been sidelined since the first week of spring training after suffering a right lat strain. Paul Blackburn, Mets injury report, Hall of Famer, because he's on here every single injury report. He tossed another rehab start on Sunday afternoon for AAA Syracuse. Across 3 innings, he gave up 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts on 60 pitches. The 31-year-old starter is expected to make 2 or 3 more rehab outings and ramp up to 70 to 75 pitches before rejoining the team. Blackburn has been on the 15-day injured list since the week of opening day due to right knee inflammation and has been a lot more than 15 days. Jose Siri, Mets outfielder, is progressing a lot quicker in rehab, according to Mets manager Carlos Mendoza. The 28-year-old did some light sprinting, hitting in the cages off a tee/soft toss, and playing catch on Sunday afternoon at Citi Field. Siri was placed on the injured list a month ago due to a fractured left tibia he suffered after fouling the ball off his shin in Sacramento. Luis Torrens, Mets backup catcher Luis Torrens, left Sunday afternoon's game in the sixth inning after being struck in the groin area by a foul ball while behind the plate. After being able to walk off the field on his own, Mets manager said after the game that Torrens is in a, quote, better spot. So that was pretty scary because Torrens was down for a while.
I didn't see it. I wasn't watching live. I was just listening.
Yeah,
and
he was laying like on his face for a while. And Torrens is a tough guy. We've seen him like play through just about anything, and he was in a tough spot. He was in a tough spot. He got hit in a tough spot that I don't want to go into detail on. It's very unfortunate.
It seemed like from the what is it, the front view, it seemed like he didn't it didn't seem like it got hit, like it grazed his lower. I don't know.
It looks like it got underneath.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like literally like under and bam.
Ow.
Yeah. Hurts. No, it's big ow.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, all catchers, like D is saying, he's a tough dude. We've all been there before.
Catcher, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's basically how many shots can your body take is basically being a catcher behind the plate. And he's he's in his late 20s. He's not even 30.
Yeah, I think like 27, 28.
Yeah, we can't pull that comment off. But yes, Daniel, you are correct in that way. So everybody in the chat, you guys can laugh at that. Anybody watching on playback probably don't know what he just said, but I guess it is for the best. Jay-Z saying Blackburn is a figment of our imaginations. He does not exist. Possibly we're getting there. We are definitely getting there. I don't think I've even seen any footage of him in his rehab starts. So it might be a figment of our imagination. But hey, I don't know. But Siri, we'll see. We know that Aura heals a lot quicker. So that could be something there. I'm interested to see what the workload's going to be for Frankie Montas and his throwing progression as he goes through his rehab. I still, for the longest time, I was either expecting him mid-June or maybe it's later than that. Manaea at the moment, for me, I think it's after the All-Star break is what you're looking at right now. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but at the rate that he's going, it looks like Montas is ahead of him. That basically by like a decent margin right now, because he hasn't even thrown bullpens yet. Montas has thrown 3.
Yeah, and when Manaea did start throwing is when he had the setback. So that's also he still needs to even begin and stay on that track to actually get it going. And as we know, with a starting pitcher, it's just a very long process, especially for both these guys, because they both miss spring training. So they almost have to do spring training before they're ready to go and need to build up their arms to where we said, if you call them up, you don't want to call them up to throw 3 or 4 innings. You want them to work 5 innings, 6 innings. So you need to call them up with a very built up arm.
Yeah, we've seen this rotation definitely perform well. Like D is saying in the chat, he's saying it's okay. It's a crowded rotation. Most of them performing well. Absolutely. Like we have said, there's other options that they can resort to if these guys do struggle. Maybe they move them to the bullpen if they don't struggle. There are different avenues they can take as to where you don't have to look at it as, well, this is a 5-man rotation and everybody's got to do this in this orderly manner. It's a different game now. That's basically just a different game of, how pitching is pieced together. And they do have a really good idea of it right now. They have a really good approach of it where they have these long relief guys that can give you some bulk. Like I've said, those 4 out guys, maybe 5 out or something like that, who can give you some length out of the bullpen, give you that bridge to the back end of the bullpen. And then, that's kind of the way that they would piece that thing, that together. And then you also have some other starting options. So we'll see where it is at. I was told in some information, I don't know where it was, but apparently in combined with what was it? This was since that Astro series to open up the year, the Mets are 14-0 in, what is it, homes and canning starts. So they're 14-2 overall because of the canning and home starts that they lost. They are 14-0 when those guys start. Since the opening series.
Okay, that sounds correct. I mean, they have been pretty good with that.
Meet the wins, man.
Both of them have won each in their win-loss record. So I'll take that. That makes sense to me.
God, what is happening in this chat right now? Anyways, either way, I love it. It's hilarious. Anyways,
well, we're just trying to promote driving safety. Like we're just making sure everyone is like staying alive and doing the right thing.
Exactly, because if you don't stay alive, you can't watch our show. You know, like, that's the biggest dilemma.
You don't want to lose
which stinks.
Yeah, no.
Which is the world that I don't want to live in. You know, I don't think anybody wants to live in that world. Because, like, yeah, you're dead and everything, but again, the main thing is you can't watch our show, which stinks. You know, that stinks. Anyways, let's get into a segment, the best way that we know how to recap this entirety of this series, and that being studs and duds. One player in this series against the Cubs that was great, we want to give flowers to. One that was not, that we want to give the opposite of flowers to. So I don't know, coal in a stocking. I don't know. That's more of a holiday thing. But what would be the opposite of giving flowers to somebody? I don't know.
Giving
dumping a bucket of head. I don't know.
What?
Dumping a bucket of water on somebody's head. I don't know.
Sure.
What is?
Sure.
I don't know.
Let's go with that.
Giving them flowers that just smell like shit. I don't know. Maybe ones they're allergic to. Maybe because allergies. You know that's the worst thing you can do. Anyways,
it's pretty bad.
Frank, your stud for this series.
Yes.
Are you gonna go with the avenue to throw me under the bus? Are you gonna take it on the chin for once?
Yeah, so I mean, I gotta take Brett. I gotta take Brett RBI man Beatty. I mean, he hits the home run game 1, and then he hits 2 home runs game 2. I mean, 5 RBIs in the same game. All 5 of the Mets runs driven in courtesy of Brett Beatty. What? Going right field, going left center field. Like, is this real life? That was crazy. So, and what's the reward? He doesn't get to start the 3rd game of the series. After a 2 home run game, drives in all 5 of your runs, bench him the next day. Can't make it up.
And then they won. He was the problem.
Then they won. So I have to give him credit. They might be the only time he gets the stud for me. So, while he's got it, he can have it.
There's a first for everything, right?
Yeah.
First for everything. But again, I really, I'm not throwing the party and saying that this is the franchise third baseman, like we have said every single time that he goes off here. And it seems like it's pretty mixed in the chat here. And I asked you guys in the poll, has Brett Beatty officially broken out? 52% of you are saying yes. 48% of you are saying no. So there's definitely a balance here where everybody just, they don't know. Who knows? I'm not getting ready to give him the keys to the city yet. It was a great performance. It was great to see him contribute that way because they weren't possibly in that game in game 2. It wasn't for that homer and for those 2 homers. And then in the first game, he homered in the first game. And it was also followed by a Jeff McNeil homer. And then who else homered in that game? Was it Lindor? Yeah, everybody homered in that game.
No, Soto hit a homer in that game.
Yeah,
in game 1.
10 homers. There's
Lindor
the crazy part.
Hit a
10
home
homers
in that game.
He did. Yeah.
Yeah.
They jumped all over Tyone. But
who had been pretty good.
Yeah.
So I mean that was nice
against the Mets specifically. Apparently, he has a good career against the Mets. So glad they were able to flip the script there. But here's another interesting fact from this series: 10 homers, like we said, in total from the Mets to take the series. Not one of them was from Pete Alonso. Not one.
Yeah. And that's a good
interesting.
sign.
Could that mean that Pete Alonso's career is going down the toilet? Probably. But no, that's great to see power avenues from other parts of the lineup.
He's an OBP guy now. So
yeah, he's kind of a contact hitter now. What did they do to him? How'd they massacre? They massacred my boy.
Eric Chavez.
Yeah, well, he's, the self-proclaimed geniuses are self-proclaimed geniuses for a reason. But no. Either way, great to see power from different avenues of the lineup that is not coming from Pete Alonso having to destroy the baseball constantly, which is fantastic. Anyway, for me, I'm going to give it to Ryan Stanek because it seems like ever since that stretch that he had, or those 3 straight terrible outings that he had where he just completely blown up, it seems like he's starting to settle in. He had 2 really quick outings that kept us in the ball game, kept us going, held it in the later innings, and it seems like he is starting to sharpen up. I wasn't worried about Ryan Stanek, but after the 3 straight outings, everyone was ready to push him off the edge and say that he looks like a hippie. But right now, I really wasn't worried. I think it was completely overblown. He was going to be fine, and that's it. Like that was it. The stuff looked sharp. He wasn't locating. That's basically what happened. He wasn't missing bats. He's known to miss bats, and he's back on the horse now. And now he's riding off into the sunset. Hopefully he doesn't, actually. We need him for the rest of the year. But as for duds, Frank?
Yeah, I gotta take your boy, Mr. McGill. Dud.
All right.
Not what I was looking for.
Very fair.
because 7. We talked about on the post game, but it's like 7 hits, 2 walks. Like it's just too many base runners. You know what I mean? Like it's just too much, especially considering like there's now a couple starts in a row where he's not doing too great. So there's like a little bit of a trend where it wasn't like, oh, it's just one bad start, it's okay. Like, no, this is popping up a little more. So we, like I said earlier, we got to figure out like what's going on here. Or do we need to like get you out, or like, are you going to be good again? So
are you a man or a mouse? That's what we have to ask.
Exactly. You got to find out what his status is of he's human or not human.
Yeah, is he a man or a mouse? We'll figure it out. We've had to ask that many times.
A lot of mouse moments from McGill in his career. If it's not April,
he has
mouse.
many. Yes, he has many mouse moments. Many of them. That's probably why he likes cheese so much. No, his brother, he plays in the place where they have cheese, right? In Wisconsin.
Yes. Milwaukee.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a great connection. That means absolutely nothing. Either way, Luis Angel Acuna had a really rough series. I think it was glossed over a little bit. Sure, he displayed what he can display, but it really just does tie into like what we have seen. I think you talked about it on one of your post games of, chasing things in the dirt, staring at strikes in
what
the
bat,
he did
like
was right down the middle.
He chased in the dirt with nobody on base, but then took it over the plate with guys on base. So it's like it was just everything wrong you could do. He did it.
Up there guessing. We know he's not a world beater offensively. He won't be. He also wasn't he? He was kind of responsible for that second run that came in yesterday. I think because he almost had a double play. Maybe I didn't see it visually, but it was a double play ball that was hit to him. I don't know if it was like slowly.
No.
Rough angle.
I thought he made the right decision. I thought going to second would have been too risky.
I didn't see it. I was listening on the radio.
Maybe
so I
he gets
know.
him, but I was kind of proud that he just took the out at first because he's getting a little better at that. Like he wants to do it, but then he's thinking about it and making another decision. So there's some improvements there. He's not just taking it and just throwing it, and it's like, oh my god, now everybody's safe.
Yeah,
so that was
I think he also got picked off in this series too.
He did get picked off. He did get picked off yesterday against Matthew Boyd. The Mets
not a great series.
And Boyd. Listen, Boyd has a good move. He's good at controlling the run game. But the Mets, that game, it took them a long time to get the offense going. So when they were getting runners on, it was like maybe you want to see them try to steal a base. And Acuna's been great at stealing bases. And it's like as soon as he led to second base a little bit, Boyd goes pick off, bam, out. So that was kind of frustrating. And especially when you saw the double plays. So it's like, Taylor gets on or if Lindor gets on and then you see a double play, you're like, oh my gosh, guy steals second, you avoid the double play. But Boyd was doing a really good job. And, there were some people that thought maybe he could have balked there, but still, like, he was just caught in a tough spot.
Yeah, I don't know. It just, the mental mistakes still, it still is these things that I just are probably the reason why he doesn't get the everyday reigns, even though he has played fairly well. He's held his own at the major league level. I think that he has. I've talked about, some of these pitchers or whatever. I remember pleading a case for Matthew Boyd. He's done fairly well for for Chicago. Brad Keller's also done well for them. He was throwing gas. That's another guy that I've advocated for. So there's pieces out there. I know Nick Pivetta had a really rough outing. That's another one, right? He had a really bad. He was bad yesterday, didn't he?
Oh,
he had a really
for
bad
San
outing.
Diego.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have no clue, but I heard people.
I mean,
talking
he's been
about
doing
him on
pretty
Twitter.
good this season overall, though.
He has been
but
6 runs and 7 hits, 5 strikeouts. Yeah, rough outing for him, but overall he's been really good this year. There's some pitchers that they get in the right system and they're pretty good, and I think that the Mets are one of those reliable pieces now. I mean, for what we have seen so far, with
they're getting
being
there.
here.
I mean, with Stearns being here, I mean they're getting that reputation slowly but surely.
Other pitching news as well. Ramon Gomez. I don't know if you guys saw this on social media or anything. He reached 104.5 miles an hour on his fastball. It was like a week ago, and it went viral, of course. He was just promoted to High A Brooklyn. So if anybody is excited for that, you want to see him, go ahead. Nate Dolm, another one, 3rd round pick last year. He was promoted as well to High A Brooklyn, and then of course Matt Allen as well was promoted to High A Brooklyn, which I think he's pitched in before, but obviously coming back from 5 years of injuries, he started him off in Port St. Lucie. So you're starting to see a lot of these promotions from the lower level to the higher levels now. But we'll see how they do these types of, how they configure some of these things. Like I said, Jonah Tong, another fantastic performance, 13 strikeouts against Binghamton. So, you're starting to see a lot of the pitching start to reach the surface here, and you're going to see it you're going to get a young wave of pitchers to get excited for. It's not here yet, but it's getting very, very close of a lot of these pieces cooking in the minor leagues from the pitching side.
Yeah, and then for the hitting, you've been doing really good. I mean, Carson Benj, he's a top 100 prospect, 1st round pick this past season. So, I mean, now
I try my best.
At least that'd be a hitting piece in the outfield that, like we talked about, maybe if it's not Gilbert, it's Benj. So at least they have some guys on the way where it's not like just like totally hopeless. Like, oh, we're not gonna have a center fielder of the future. We're not gonna have young outfielders. Like, they're on the way. It's not gonna be like as good as the pitchers have been. Like all these guys that have come up and are going to be here soon, but there is something going there in the outfield too.
Yeah, Benj I think is going to be in Double-A in like a month, like at the rate he's going, because he's gotten a decent amount of plate appearances for High A already. So that would be 3 levels he would be in if he goes to Double-A. So that's pretty impressive. Good to see from a 1st round pick. Hopefully it's better than the 1st round pick we have up here right now. But oh no, never mind. Keys to the franchise. Got to go to him. Jay-Z making a really good point here. Saying, a lot of Mets minor leaguers having good seasons, unlike last year.
And a lot of it has to do with health, too. I mean, a lot of these guys,
a lot of it had to do with health.
Position players, like, oh my gosh, way too many injuries.
Oh, God. It was brutal last year. I mean, you had Jet Williams go down with an injury.
Gilbert.
You had Drew Gilbert. Gilbert missed the entire season. Baez went down lower levels at this current moment.
But still very exciting talent.
Still very exciting. Even on the pitching side, Calvin Ziegler went down. We know that Dominic Hamill was banged up a lot.
Went down too. I mean, even though he's in the big leagues, like still, that was a top 5 prospect that down on Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, it was a rough year last year for the minor league system. Most for health, some of them struggled, but for this year, it's definitely an improvement compared to last season. So we'll see how that all pans out. We'll see how they do in the higher levels. Some guys are made for the lower levels and the higher levels. Some are made for all minor league baseball. And when they get to the majors, they're not great. So we'll see what happens. But there's a lot of youth to get excited for as compared to maybe 4 years ago, where they were in a similar situation. At one point where it was just bone dry, and they had a situation where they had no youth and they had to shell out the money. We all know how that story ended. But anyways, speaking of the story continuing, dun dun dun, let's move to this series with the Pittsburgh Pirates, which is going to start up at 7:00. First pitch tonight, as we are recording this at 5:31 p.m. on May 12th. Let's get into what to expect going forward into this Pittsburgh Pirates matchup. Now, Game 1 will go to David Peterson against the generational arm of Paul Skeens. First pitch, 7:10, like I said, on SNY. Game 2 will go to Kodai Senga. He will be looking to continue his brilliant start to the season as the National League's ERA leader at this current moment, and he will face right-hander Mitch Keller. First pitch is also at 7:10 Eastern on SNY. And then Game 3 will go to Clay Holmes, and he will face his old team in the series finale against Southpaw Bailey Falter. And for the third time in a row, the first pitch will be at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time on SNY. So, still going with what has been lined up with the rotation. Everyone has stayed healthy. It has been great to just have 5 pitchers to talk about. So, again, we know Pittsburgh has young pitching that has shown a lot recently. We're not going to be facing Jared Jones, who is one hell of an arm. So, he's hurt. Yeah. But we all know how good Paul Skeens can be, but he has a nightmare to face in Jeff McNeil, who took him deep last time. I believe Paul Skeens pitched that game where, what was it, Ty Adcock gave up like 5 home runs.
Yeah, it was definitely the same series. I'm not sure if it was the same game. So it was definitely that same series.
It was not a fun game. So hopefully we can improve on that. But we all know how good Paul Skeens is. He's one of the best, if not the best pitcher in all of baseball at this current moment. He's only going to get better because he's what?
Yeah.
He's
23.
He's 23. Like, he's so young, and that's the type of guy that we kind of expect to maybe top the Garrett Cole contract in the future, maybe the Yamamoto contract in the future. Yeah. I mean, that's how good he is. Mm-hmm. But hey, we'll see how this goes. We know that the Pirates are not good. They just fired their manager in Derek Sheldon, right? I don't know who took over. But we all know I'm
pretty sure the one who took over got ejected the other day. Like,
nice. All right. Well, at least he brought some fire. That's good.
Like, they're just.
We know they have young talent that can definitely burn you. They've had some rough seasons. They have Tommy Pham still there, right?
Yeah.
Is Tommy Pham their big signing? And he's been brutal.
He's hitting
right?
176, 475 OPS, 36 OPS plus. Listen, when you're 37, that's what happens with 0 home runs. So
it happens. Yeah, we saw that with Justin Turner, right?
Justin
Turner's had a rough outing. So we'll see what happens there. But
38-year-old Andrew McCutchen, he's been all right. He's been pretty solid.
He's ageless. Come on now. But here's one thing I will say.
Right.
Do not take this team for granted. Don't say, oh, well, they're a bad team, we should be winning. They still could burn you. They still have talent. They just have not reached anywhere close to any potential. Haven't taken a step forward. They've taken steps back now. The Braves lost 2 out of 3 from Pittsburgh,
yes,
but the Braves are also below 500, and that means they're a bad team. So...
Yeah. You are what your record says you are, right?
Exactly. You are what you eat, right? Is that what they say?
They say that too?
But That's what the homies
They say a
say.
lot of things.
Yeah, they do say a lot of things. But yeah, it's definitely been a disappointing season for the Pirates. But let's continue to make it disappointing for the next three days. That would be nice. It should be a sweep. Should be. Will it happen? We'll see. But again, you have your first toughest test, obviously, right now, Paul Skeens. But of course, we have our ace and David Peterson on the mound today. So again, we can't lose, right? We can't lose. It's David Peterson. We have to. I mean, we're gonna show out tonight. You know, we're going to catch fly balls with our ass cheeks. We're going to do this stuff blindfolded in the infield because that's how good we are behind David Peterson and no one else defensively. So I think we're going to do good. We're going to do good tonight. We're going to blow them out of the water, right? Anyways, any more other stuff you want to run down from this team individually? Because I know it's been brutal for Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
They're in some deep shit right now.
No, they're not very good. And like even Paul Skeens, as great as he is, like the record of 3-4. So it's like, and when loss record is not a lot, but it's like it just shows that like this Pirates team is just that bad that like even Paul Skeens can't, even when he's out there, like they still don't even win that frequently. So that's a big issue.
I'm pretty sure that game. I'm pretty sure that game that the Mets lost 11-2. That was the first time. That's the only win he has in his career, right? Like that's it. That's how bad the Pirates have been.
He's won a couple more games than that, but they've had some relievers do well. Like Dennis Santana, their closer's been good. Justin Lawrence has been good. Colin Holderman has not been good. ERA above 8. So that's that's gonna be interesting to follow. So I mean, we'll see if he gets his stuff sorted out. But a lot of the rest of the bullpen has not been good. Mitch Keller's been kind of a disappointment because he was someone that we talked about maybe want to make a trade for last year.
I'll still do it.
Yeah, exactly. Like good young pitcher, has had a great season so far. So we'll see what version the Mets get of Mitch Keller when they face him tomorrow. I'm pretty sure Mitch Keller carved them up last year. I mean, especially like the righties, he was very tough on. And we saw what happened with the Mets and Zach Gallen, who was having a bad season, but whooped the Mets both times they faced him. Offensively, like their young catcher, Joey Bart, has been doing good. O'Neal Cruz has been getting stolen bases and home runs. Like I said, McCutcheon's been all right. Everyone else has been awful. That's pretty much it. Like they have just not been good at baseball. They don't have good statistics, which means they don't have a good win-loss record.
Which means they're going to sweep us.
Yeah, so it's like, again, like you said, the Mets, they have a chance to sweep it, a good chance to sweep it, but at minimum, they have to win the series. Like the Pirates think their Mets are at home, like they got to win. They just have to.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat asked, how is their bullpen? They're 8th in earned run average. Or excuse me, no. They are 20th in earned run average for their bullpen. In FIPPs, they are 18th, so there's not really much of a difference there. It seems like this bullpen gives up a lot of wait. Lots of base runners. They give up a lot of base runners. They walk a hell of a lot, I think. Wait. Yes, they walk a hell of a lot.
Colin Holm is like 5.7 walks per 9. So
yeah, they walk a lot. They don't give up many home runs. But you know, we'll see what happens there. Like you said, Colin Holderman. That's all that really matters.
He gave up home runs. Colin Holderman.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll see. We'll see how they fare well against this pitching staff, which definitely has talent on it.
They've also hit a decent amount of batters too, I feel like.
Okay.
So, no, O'Neal Cruz not on the line. I'm saying, oh wow, how about that? Because the lefty David Peterson, that makes sense. They're saying they're lefty, so
yeah, he's you know, I don't think anybody would want to face David Peterson. That's very intimidating. We'll see. Yeah, they're going to have to knock out Skeens. They're going to have to do something. We have our secret weapon, Jeff McNeil, so we should be good. Yeah, O'Neal Cruz is not in the lineup. He's really struggled against lefties for a while, right? He's been pretty rough there. So
yeah, no, I mean, he's a guy that
Genesis Cabrera, we're calling on you later on the stretch of this series. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, he is. I'm looking for the slash line. 420, 524 OPS against left-handed pitchers this year, and for his career, 614. So yeah, he's struggled against lefties. I know they expected a lot more from him, but we'll see. He'll probably be a guy to pinch hit off the bench, but we will see how that looks out. Like I said, no home runs from Pete in that series. Pete, you got to get back on the horse there. Like you've just been. I mean, it's just he's in a slump now. He's been terrible.
We want to see the first Mets MVP like in there.
That would be so sick. Exactly, and it's not going to happen if you're at like what 8 homers. That's it.
Yeah, if you don't hit a home run, you can't get a big contract.
What a loser, But in real talk, Juan Soto. I mean, can we see the Juan Soto that maybe we saw in Game 1 of this Cubs series? Again, runners in scoring position, the same stuff basically that we've continued to say. Just do a little bit better. Bailey Falter, that third game of the series, I'm pretty sure I got to see him live last year, and Harrison Bader hit a home run off against him.
Wow.
And he dedicated it directly for you, Frank. Mm-hmm. I said, go hit a home run for my my old 70-year-old friend Frank, and he did it. And then he pointed up to me. And then he also gave the middle finger because he knew that you were talking shit about him. So I've seen them beat up Bailey Falter a lot. I'm pretty sure he has a really rough career against the Mets.
Falter is just not a great pitcher in general. So
yeah, he's not.
That makes sense.
Yeah, he ain't that good.
He tends to falter every now and then.
Yes. He's had quite a few. Yeah, he's had quite a few rough outings, but he's also had some decent ones out of the bullpen against us. So I don't know. He was with the Phillies. He's with the Pirates. Seems to have found a decent home, I guess. Who knows? They trade everyone, but again, Pete does lead the NL in 15 doubles. That is true. Unfortunately, I don't care. I need to see homers or I'm done. I'm really, really upset. The fact that he's not homered in the last 3 games. Looks like Carson had a big pull of sarcasm this morning. That's pretty much every day. It's pretty much every day. That's kind of my cadence, and that's basically some get it, some don't. But as long as I make my co-hosts laugh, that's pretty much it. Any other keys? I don't think we've missed that much, other than the Mets traded Pete Chrome Armstrong.
Right.
Yeah. Just letting you guys know. They traded Colin Holderman too.
Yeah, so that's
another thing. Who Alvarez has a home run against, and somebody else has a home run against. So yeah. Ohtani took over Pete in OPS. Yeah. Ohtani's heating up.
He's pretty good.
That Ohtani guy's pretty good. Yep. Well, and it looks like, this is more baseball news. It looks like he is not going to pitch until after the All-Star break now. His timeline's been moved.
kind of knew that. It was the same thing we talked about with other pitchers. Like, being a starting pitcher is a long ramp-up process. Like, it's not something you just kind of do, especially
while you're
because
also hitting every day.
Exactly. Like, he wouldn't even have time to, like, pitch rehab starts or something like that. So how they're going to figure that out is going to be interesting.
Let me just play the hilarious card here. Oh, okay. I was about to say. All right, never mind. I thought that after the All-Star break, the first team we play would be like the Dodgers, and he would make his debut against us. I just thought. But yeah, PCA trade is not worse than trading Nolan Ryan away. Oh, absolutely. I'd say that the Tom Seaver.
But you didn't have an annoying media back then, so
you didn't. No, you didn't. And I don't think anybody knew what Nolan Ryan was going to become. But, it more of just the Tom Seaver thing. I think is even worse personally, if we're talking about bad, because before they got Tom Seaver, they were shit, and then after they got rid of him, they were shit. Like that was how good Tom Seaver, how much he transcended this franchise, and that he was like, that was it. After that, they were bad for like 6 to 7 years afterwards. So I would not put PCA up there just an individual performance. It's more of just kind of, whatever with that. But hey, we don't have that GM anymore. He's not here. He's more of a Twitter GM now. So yeah, I was seeing him talk a lot on Twitter. You guys know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to name drop because I'm a polite person most of the time, but I was just seeing him tweet about a bunch of shit while PCA tied that game. I was looking on Twitter while he tied that game, and I'm just listening to this guy talk on and on about like all this other stuff, and I'm like, dude, shut up. Just like you're not the face I want to see right now. You're not the Twitter account I want to see on my timeline right now. It's just like the constant timing of things that just made it feel like shit. But either way, the Mets traded Pete Crow Armstrong, in case you didn't know. I'm just letting you guys know. But I think we're going to wrap it up here. We've gone past the 2-hour mark, of course. On to Pittsburgh now. Tonight, 7:10, first pitch, David Peterson on the mound against Paul Skeens. And then every single game is at 7 o'clock, like I said, in this series. So either way, Frank, if there's anything else that you would like to add here, and then we will get out of here. If you have anything else that you'd like to add to the docket.
Yeah, I mean, so since David Robertson is still a free agent on this date, May 12th in 2023, he became the 14th pitcher to record 1,000 strikeouts exclusively as a relief pitcher. So shout out to D-Rob. I don't know if he's going to get a job. I mean, he is 40, so we talked about like don't sign 40-year-old players, but we'll see. I mean, you feel like someone's going to get desperate in that bullpen and they might pick him up, but I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, maybe somebody in a playoff race, maybe they do go for him. Who knows? But he's definitely out there. Not the direction I would go in, but if he is available at some point, sure. I mean, why not? Take a look at him. He has been good for quite a while. Speaking of older guys, speaking of veterans who have had a great career, Evan Longoria called it quits today.
Yep.
So we know that the Mets have been attached to him before for a little bit, but I know him as a local guy in the Hudson Valley Renegades near me, up in Fishkill. He was a Renegade originally back when they were affiliate for the Rays. They're the Yankees now. They were with the Rangers, and they were also the Braves too. I'm pretty sure Freddie Freeman, Josh Hamilton was there too. So again, like that was the affiliate there. So I know him I've known his stuff for quite a while, but great career for him. Hopefully he's definitely getting his number retired by the Rays. There's no way he's not.
He has to. He has to.
I mean, he's their home run leader,
guy.
Right?
He's their guy.
He has to be. But I know that they do it more in. They know they do it more in football, where they do the one-day contract thing. But that would be a nice gesture for the Rays. I don't know if they can afford it, but that's mean because they lost their stadium in an unfortunate thing. I shouldn't have said that, but I mean,
no. Even when they had a stadium, they were not known for spending money. So I mean,
Mr. Stu over here.
Yeah, like
another situation that is not at its best that it should be because they have a lot of talent, but. Other than that, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. For those of you watching or listening on playback and you want to join the conversation live in the future, make sure to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel. Turn on post notifications to know when we go live. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok. Follow all of us individually on TikTok after every single game during the regular season. Frank has his post-game thoughts titled The Mets Frankly Post-Game. Follow us on TikTok for that or on Twitter. Let us know your opinions on that. And of course, we are going into a series with the Pirates that is definitely winnable. They're not a great team. So anything less than a series win is a disappointment to me. I would like to see them sweep it, but in reality, 2 out of 3 would be great. Either way, we'll send you out to Citi Field in about an hour for Game 1 of this series against the Pirates. Let's go Mets, and we will see you guys next time.